Loved ones react with shock at the news that a former employee is arrested in the double murder of two teenagers in a sandwich shop.
More surprising evidence of racism in the LAPD in car-to-car computer messages.
Chief Gates responds to the latest calls for his resignation. You will hear his reaction and response.
Are you one of millions of people carrying a disease you don't know about? You'll learn how to find out.
And most people know you have to act fast if you lose a credit card. You'll see why losing checks can cause even more problems. Coming up.
John Beard, Linda Alvarez, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan, Sports, and David Horowitz, Fight Back. Channel 4 News at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our top story today, police have arrested a suspect in the brutal killings of two men at a Northridge sandwich shop 2 weeks ago. The suspect is a former store employee. He apparently knew both of his victims. But as Elizabeth Anderson heard from one family member, the arrest cannot erase the horror of what happened.
It's an awful, awful experience, something you can't describe, to lose your son.
Christine White says words can't describe her grief, but her face says it all.
James, my son, was 6'2", still growing, blonde-haired, blue-eyed like he'd always been, cheerful, the one that in a group would make you happy.
James White's life ended when he was only 19. It happened last month as he closed up the Subway shop where he worked. Suddenly, a man fitting this description walked in, robbed the place, shot White, and then turned and shot White's best friend, 18-year-old Brian Berry.
It just shocks the human conscience to think that someone would do something so incredibly brutal for a few dollars.
2 weeks after these flyers went up offering a reward, the police arrested a former Subway employee, 23-year-old James Robinson.
I also hope that maybe that's preventing some other family from being faced with a situation like this.
As detectives arrested Robinson at his apartment Tuesday night, they say they also found something else, the handgun that killed White and Berry. When the police showed up, what did you think?
I couldn't believe it. I was shocked.
As family members listened to the story again, it reminded them that their pain will never go away.
There's no words. I don't understand.
It was the help of an outraged community, a tip that ultimately led the police to James Robinson. It is why they arrested him, put him behind bars, and why he will face a judge for his arraignment on Thursday. And when he does, the victim's family will be watching. At the Devonshire Division of the LAPD, Elizabeth Anderson, Channel 4 News.
The Christopher Commission, appointed in the wake of the Rodney King beating, released today some damaging evidence of police racism and violence in Los Angeles. These are the computer messages written in the words of LAPD street officers. The Commission today made public excerpts of nearly 700 transmissions between police officers made on their in-car mobile digital terminals. And they reveal a workday world of patrol officers who often displayed callousness and a contempt for the public they were sworn to protect and serve. They're chock full of racial slurs, epithets, and intimations of brutality. Here are a few examples as they were written with misspellings and grammatical errors. A message from July 9th, 1990. Batten down the hatches, several thousand Zulus approaching from the north. From November 27th, 1989. I'm not happy till I've violated somebody's civil rights and then put them in jail. That ruins their day, but it makes mine. And another example. If you encounter these Negroes, shoot first and ask questions later. The Christopher Commission report released yesterday noted that officers had little concern they would be disciplined or sanctioned for making such remarks. Today, Police Chief Gates sought to minimize the significance of those computer messages. He claims many of them were written by minority or women officers and not just white males. There were, however, more calls today for Police Chief Gates to heed the commission report and make plans to step down, but Gates said he has no intention of retiring at this time. And this morning, he went on the offensive. Laurel Erickson reports.
Our subject, the news story of Los Angeles, of California, and probably of the nation today, the findings of the Christopher Commission.
When Los Angeles woke up, Police Chief Daryl Gates was still in the saddle and on the airwaves with radio host Michael Jackson.
Michael, it's a good question. And
Chief Gates, defiant, determined, but the commander-in-chief now knows he may have been done in by criticism from his own top brass.
Well, I'm very disappointed, extremely disappointed. Those are individuals that I brought along in this department. I promoted, I've nurtured, I've counseled, I've dealt with in personal situations, and it's very troubling to see them deal in this fashion.
It was never my intention to undo anything that concerned Daryl Gates. It was my intention to give the best opinion that I had to offer regarding the Los Angeles Police Department. And
Deputy Chief David Dotson would have been police chief had the police commission succeeded in ousting his boss a few months ago.
Or are you the opportunist who's talking about what should be done, or how do you see yourself?
No, I am part of the problem, and if you'll look at my statements that have been published before the commission, I use we a lot, and I mean we, and I include myself as part of the problem. I am willing to explore new ways of doing things. I am willing to change.
I'm not quite sure why or what the motives were.
I think we all should be willing to explore other alternatives.
Do you want to be? Would you like to be the police chief who oversees these changes?
I think that I would very much like to be the chief of police. I've never made any secret of that in the last 4 or 5 years.
Laurel Erickson, Channel 4 News, Parker Center.
It is not.
Just about everybody has an opinion on the Christopher Commission findings, including California Governor Pete Wilson. Today at USC, Wilson was asked if he thinks Chief Gates ought to accept a suggestion by the commission to step down.
I think first and foremost, Daryl Gates wants to do what is best for the department and for the city. What his decision will be, I don't know. I don't know when he will make it. I think that he must be aware from the commission's report that change is needed to rid the department of certain elements and practices which I am sure that he personally finds totally abhorrent.
The governor also said he was disturbed by the commission's findings, particularly the conclusions about racism and excessive force. Well, no doubt that the Christopher Commission findings have opened a Pandora's box of concerns that need to be addressed by Los Angeles city leaders, and Mayor Bradley is still pushing for the resignation of Police Chief Daryl Gates. John Marshall is up in our newsroom right now, and he has more on this. John?
Well, here's the latest, Linda. At the request of Mayor Bradley, the Los Angeles City Personnel Department today did begin putting together a plan to find a new police chief, but it is only a plan that will remain on the shelf until Daryl Gates resigns or retires, whenever that might be. In the meantime, the Commission's other recommendations will move forward. The ball is now in this court, the Los Angeles City Council. The process begins Monday when the Police, Fire, and Public Safety Committee takes up the recommendations of the Christopher Commission's report. Committee Chairman Richard Alatorre.
The recommendations were very thoughtful and very well thought out. They were not radical, but they got to the points that I said from the very beginning that we should be concentrating our efforts at.
But what about the issue of the police department's chief? Most council members seem to agree with the commission there must be a change, but not immediately.
I think that we need his help, really. I think we need the chief's help and other heads of the department, as well as the rank and file on the department, to implement and to begin the procedures that are going to be necessary to implement the recommendations of the Christopher.
But after that, he must go?
I think he wants to go, and I think that that would be appropriate.
The commission was specific in saying that they would like for Chief Gates to work with the new chief coming into office. That process should begin immediately, in my view.
Mayor Bradley still wants Gates to go now.
I have asked the chief to read the entire report and reevaluate his position, his response to the Christopher Commission recommendation, and I hope he will do that.
But tonight, it does appear Gates will not go quietly nor quickly, and at least some city council members think that's good. Linda, Keith, back to you.
All right, and also the report is getting I guess predictably, unfavorable reviews from many Los Angeles police officers. Some officers question the Christopher Commission's findings that parts of the LAPD are undisciplined.
In my 22 years, haven't seen the problems that this Christopher Commission apparently has come out with.
And some policemen say the report has damaged morale. They have little or anything positive to say about its effect.
The motivation's down because of all this that's going on, and it's depressing.
A Fort Worth policeman accused of using excessive force, meanwhile, against a handcuffed suspect is getting support for his side of the story from a witness who was there on a police ride-along program. A passerby videotaped the incident last week. A 20-year-old police Explorer Scout was with the officer at the time. In a statement to police, the Explorer Scout says he doesn't believe the officer used excessive force. He also says the suspect was violent and tried to jump from the moving squad car. The officer has been charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He has been put on detached duty.
All right, we're going to switch gears right now. Paul Johnson standing by. Metro traffic, let us know what's going on the freeways.
Well, and to switch that into a slow gear, if you don't mind. We have got a SIG alert that is in effect. This is on the 605 freeway northbound. As you attempt to make that transition to the westbound 91, that is closed. Non-injury collision, a vehicle is overturned. Now, also the left lane closed on the eastbound 91 transition to that northbound 605. Now, the 605 freeway itself is slow back for about a mile, but the eastbound 91, in the backup, we have an accident at Bellflower, and that's got you jammed back to the Long Beach freeway. San Diego freeway in trouble, northbound before Manchester, injury collision, a car is overturned. That is still clearing. Up in Arcadia, Foothill freeway, westbound of Baldwin, multi-vehicle collision, 3 cars in the center divider. One of them in the right lane, the other is over in the right shoulder. That's slowing you back for a couple of miles. And left over from an earlier SIG alert, Riverside Freeway eastbound at Lemon, left lane still closed. Caltrans crews repairing the center divider. And that is traffic heavy back to Beach Boulevard, so please drive carefully. Paul Johnson, Metro Traffic. Keith, Linda.
All right, Paul, we'll see you later. Well, the president, busy today trying to make a decision about bad news for places in this country which may lose their military bases, and making a decision about good news for South Africa.
And then later, tomorrow is E-Day. We'll hear from solar fanatics about why they're so excited.
And for a thrill that is very hard to beat, a good old-fashioned roller coaster tops them all. For some people, anyway. We'll be back.
Over there!
Let's go! Hurry! Watch out, E.T.
From Steven Spielberg's classic motion picture comes a breathtaking new ride for the whole family. Have the adventure of your life with E.T. When you ride the movies at Universal Studios Hollywood.
If you want really great steak, you can go to a really great steakhouse, or you can come to Coco's. Both serve USDA choice corn-fed beef, like this juicy top sirloin. Both slow roast tender prime rib to bring out all the flavor, and both have unique specialty dishes like Coco's new pepper steak. So why choose Coco's for a great beef dinner? Our prices are a lot easier to swallow. Coco's, steakhouse quality beef, family restaurant prices.
Do you know what I am? I'm a dryer hose, or what they call in the home improvement business, a hard-to-find item. Of course, if you shopped at Home Club, I'd be as easy to find as the front door. That's where you'll run into a Home Club helper who'll be happy to tell you where you can find any one of over 25,000 items in their store, including me, Harry the Hose. Home Club, no membership. Everyone gets our lowest prices.
Time to rise and shine, fun seekers. Southwest Airlines Fun Fairs are back.
Well, you've waited so long for a fare to get so nice and low now. You really should fly.
Remember what fares were like before Southwest Airlines? Well, our new fun fares are so low now you can fly just for the fun of it.
Come along with us, 'cause we got a lot of things to do now. You really should fly. And you'll have fun, 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 flying Southwest on a fun fair today. Fun, fun, flying on a fun fair.
Well, President Bush lifted economic sanctions against South Africa today, and in doing so, Mr. Bush said he believes South Africa is now on an irreversible course toward ending apartheid. Critics, however, say his action is premature. Wendy Rieger has more from Washington.
For 5 years, South Africa has been ostracized because of its racist policies. Today, President Bush brought the country back into the fold.
But progress has definitely been made. And during the last 2 years, we've seen a profound transformation in the situation in South Africa.
By progress, President Bush is referring to South Africa's release of political prisoners, its repeal of apartheid laws that segregated whites from blacks, its lifting of its state of emergency, legalizing political parties, and starting to talk about forming a non-racial government. These were the 5 changes that Congress required South Africa to make back in 1986 when it imposed the sanctions, overriding President Reagan's veto at the time. But black leaders in this country say the South African reforms are nothing more than window dressing, that South African blacks are still suffering.
Blacks cannot vote. Blacks are still subject to the Internal Security Act. Blacks have, in a number up to 4 million, lost their land and citizenship. Blacks can still be arrested without trial or counsel, held incommunicado for 10 days. How have conditions changed?
And some Democratic lawmakers feel President Bush has acted too soon.
It is not clear that all the conditions in the law have been met, particularly the release of political prisoners.
I'm concerned that the lifting of sanctions prematurely could have catastrophic implications.
But lawmakers do not feel they have the votes or the momentum to fight the president on this one. In Washington, I'm Wendy Rieger, Channel 4 News.
President Bush today approved a report to close 34 military bases throughout the country. Included on the so-called hit list are Long Beach Naval Station, Fort Ord near Monterey, and Castle Air Force Base in Merced. The president's decision now goes to Congress for an up or down vote. No amendments to the list allowed. The closings are expected to save more than $1 billion a year. Boris Yeltsin officially took office today as the president of Russia. He's the first popularly elected president in the 1,000-year history of the Soviet Republic. Yeltsin trounced 4 communist candidates in the June election, and today, trumpets heralded the beginning of a new political era. Yeltsin's political power strengthened after he quit the Communist Party last year. His often bitter rival, Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev, pledged to support Yeltsin and his reform efforts. In turn, Yeltsin said he'll support Gorbachev in a countrywide election if Gorbachev keeps his word to give the republics more power.
Well, this is much closer to home. The Firefighters Union says the spending plan now on the desk of the governor of California would cut $41 million from their budget to fight fires. It would eliminate personnel and much-needed new equipment. They won't be able to get to the scene early enough to keep those fires small.
What this will do will drastically increase our response times to most of the incidents. Basically, it will also increase the response time for additional resources to get in to help you when the fire is small. The big problem with the cuts is our ability to fight initial attack fires. We won't have the immediate resources to keep them small.
The governor, however, renewed his promise of 2 weeks ago to make some extra money available for the fires which inevitably do this summer.
All right, you want to see the eclipse tomorrow, don't you?
Well, of course.
Well,
68% of it right here.
Right here in Los Angeles, right. But you better listen to Christopher's report because he says the weather is going to play a very important role in what we see.
Also, nursed back to health after 2 months in sick bay, Lily is back where she belongs. Lily.
He was the ultimate Palm Beach playboy, heir to the Kleenex fortune until he and his young wife blew his millions on hard copy.
At 7:30, only on Channel 4.
Attention, please. Flight 739 has been canceled. Attention, Flight 739
Your flight was canceled? No problem. I can reschedule you. And I got you an aisle seat. Looks like you'll make that meeting after all.
There are 2 kinds of travelers in the world. Those who deal with the madness, and those who don't have to. Uniglow, we will change the way you travel.
If you've been looking to buy a new car, this may be helpful to know. The Honda Civic Sedan is the best overall value in its class. Of course, if you already have one, you've probably figured that out on your own.
Beauty, I love the color, I love the tires. Look at my car, there it is again. Oh, it looks so big, it costs so little. Somebody pinch me. So cute. Oh, I'm gonna call my friends. Come on, let's carpool.
I'm so serious. About work, being a great dad, even tennis. I'm so serious. All I've got is stress.
The Mitchum report shows Americans are under more stress than ever. That's why today you need Mitchum, the antiperspirant so effective you could even skip a day.
Something's got to give, and it's always me. Between work, kids, the house, I'm stressed to the limit.
The Mitchum report shows women are under more stress than ever. That's why today you need Mitchum, the antiperspirant so effective you could even skip a day.
California. You want it cold? You want it now? Let's have a Slurpee. Nobody got the fountain drinks like 7-Eleven.
You've got a big thirst?
Super big up. We have Pepsi, Coke, 7-Up, all the flavors.
Nobody else has got that. Buy 4 super big gulps, and we'll give you the 5th one free.
Come on in and check us out. Anything you want, anything you need. We got the friendliest people in town. Hey, California, you thirsty?
Why would you go anyplace else?
Now get a 44-ounce super big gulp for just 69 cents at 7-Eleven.
Some really big news in New York. Zookeepers in Syracuse are celebrating the birth of a baby elephant. Mom, Romani the elephant, gave birth just after 10 o'clock this morning at the Burnett Park Zoo in Syracuse. The new calf is a male, there he is. It doesn't have a name yet. Veterinarians say he's very healthy, and they're keeping a close eye on him to make sure that he's bonding with his mommy. Mom's okay, seems happy, and ready to trumpet the news of her new arrival.
Looks like the kid's bonding with the floor at the moment. Sea Lion got a Hollywood send-off today on her way back to the ocean. This, of course, is Lily, nursed back to health by Orca, the organization that helps sea mammals along the coast. Today, an actress, Andrea Thompson, and a film crew from the Baywatch television series showed up to watch the launch. Lily spent about 2 months recovering from a respiratory illness, but she also has a habit of returning to civilization. And, well, look at the people that she gets a chance to be with. You understand why. Maybe next time around she'll demand a motion picture contract, which makes some sense.
Looks pretty anxious to get back in the water, though, doesn't she?
So does the girl. Yeah.
And Christopher is here now to let us know what we can expect tomorrow. The eclipse,
Yeah.
big day tomorrow.
What's he writing down?
Well, there's 2 things I want to remind you folks about. Smog and clouds are going to play a role in the eclipse tomorrow. People along the coast aren't going to see it because of the cloud covering. It's just going to be too dense that early in the morning.
Right, morning cloud.
So you're going to have to head inland, and I've got some areas, suggestions for you to go, and we'll talk about that in a little while. Let's go outside, and we'll talk more about our weather. But remember, you folks along the coast that want to see it, you're going to have to start making plans now on just how far inland you want to go.
They can watch it here on Channel 4.
Best thing to do is to watch it here on Channel 4. Team player up the... Oh, perfect. Take a little extra out of petty cash for that, Linda. 76, that's our high for today. 63 for a low. 103 is our record high on this date, set in 1959. Slid that right in there. You know what I said, Michael? Just slid that in there. Right now in the downtown area, it is 76 degrees, so we are currently at our high, which means next hour we may warm up. The thing that is keeping us cool, the clouds, the haze, just staying, lingering, and that's going to be the big problem for tomorrow's eclipse. Barometer at 29.93 inches, relative humidity 67%, winds around to the southeast at 9 miles an hour. Average high, we were a lot lower than today. It's 83 degrees, and you'll see a hazy sunset tonight at 7 minutes after 8. Now, if you want to see an eclipse, this is what you're going to see. About 68.8% of it is going to be visible from Southern California. Now, let me move out of the way. It will begin in the Southland around 10:12 tomorrow morning. Maximum time for viewing would be around 11:27. But best viewing locations, I've been talking to a lot of people today, go inland. Go to the mountainous areas around 2,500 feet or to the high and low deserts. They're not going to have the cloud problem that we're having right now, so they'll be able to see it. Good viewing. Also, this low pressure system starting to kick some rain showers up in the higher Rockies, and also starting to move again out of the plain states into the Midwest, into the mid-Atlantic states. More thunderstorms, more rain showers, making it very, very humid in this neck of the woods. Nice in the New England states, but they're out of the region. They're not going to be able to see the eclipse at all, unless, of course, they watch Channel 4, like Linda said. And you see this low pushing across the plains, lots of lightning strikes. As much as 150 were reported just today. What is happening? The reason why it's so foggy, hot air in the deserts rising rapidly, pulling in the cooler air, which is along the coast, and that pulls in the fog, and that gives us the overcast skies that have been keeping us cooler than normal. Now, let's go to the West Coast graphic. This is what's going on. Again, you're seeing the heat here rising rapidly, all part of this high pressure system. That pushes in the cooler air, which pushes in the fog, and so we see hazy skies for the eclipse weather. This low to the north isn't helping anything either by its deepening the marine layer along the coast, making the fog just more persistent. Now, putting the maps into motion, this is what you can expect for the next few days. You can expect the haze to continue to be along the coast, burning off slowly. This low influencing our weather only slightly by allowing the marine layers only along the coast to deepen. And here, good air quality directly on the coast for today, but for tomorrow, the good air quality will disappear, and we're going to see some overcast skies. Here's the forecast temperatures for tonight and for tomorrow. Up in Santa Barbara, 56 should be the low. Santa Clarita at 68 degrees. Big Bear around 56. Forecast numbers for tomorrow look like this. A lot of warming in the interior, but cool along the coast. Here's the forecast for tonight. Overcast and breezy. Tomorrow, hazy and warm. Here's the 5-day. Hazy skies will stay with us for the next 48 hours, and breezy skies will start to push in around Friday and Saturday, with a chance of thunderstorms kicking up by late Sunday afternoon. That's the forecast, but remember, the smog and the clouds are going to require you to go east. See you later.
Or watch it here
on Channel 4.
Right.
All right, thank you,
Thanks.
Christopher.
Okay.
Well, now here's a disquieting question. Are you at risk for a hidden, potentially dangerous disease? Don't like to think so, but we'll have the story when we come back.
Also a question, can the lowly aspirin help pregnant women have healthier babies and fewer cesarean births?
Just ahead here on the Channel 4 News at 5, get set for one of nature's greatest tricks. Find out how to watch tomorrow's eclipse safely so it won't be the last thing you ever see. Plus, could you face scenes like this where you live? Get set for new fire department cutbacks. And
Give me a break, will you? I just want a pack of cigarettes.
Harrison Ford's leaving moviegoers crying and laughing. David Sheehan goes one-on-one with the superstar, only on the Channel 4 News at 5.
Discover the Daily Difference. 5 special reports each week that'll make a difference in your life. The Daily Difference. Only on NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Everyone's in love with Henry.
He bought a dog.
One of the best movies of 1991. The most remarkable and extraordinary movie of the summer.
I don't remember what I was like, Sarah.
Harrison Ford gives a brilliant performance, certain to be Oscar-worthy.
I want us to be a family.
An unforgettable screen event. Hilarious, heartwarming.
Yes, stop it.
A triumph for Mike Nichols.
Big kiss.
Okay.
Regarding Henry. Rated PG-13. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
There's a Stroud behind Stroud's.
When the customer walks into our store, her first assumption may be that we're expensive because of the way we look. We may look expensive, but we're not. We shop our competitors weekly to ensure that we offer every day the lowest prices that you will find anywhere. We don't think of ourselves as a discount store, even though our prices are everyday low prices. Whatever the customer's budget is, they can be assured they'll get the best value for their money.
American Airlines proudly announces daily nonstop service from Los Angeles to London's Heathrow Airport. And with our expanded service from across the U.S., American will become the #1 American airline to London. So come with us to Great Britain's first city on America's #1 airline.
There are 2 companies that have agreed to comply with a government order to stop selling an unapproved saliva tests for AIDS. The FDA says, I think it's epitope. Epitope? Anyway, something like that. EPITOPE. And the Home Office Reference Laboratory were selling the AuraSure saliva test to insurance companies. It was being marketed as an AIDS test kit to screen potential policyholders. The FDA says that until it approves these saliva tests, then none of them can be marketed. Didn't know that.
Okay, now, doctors all around the world are reporting a significant increase in the number of asthma patients, and even more alarming, an increase in the number of patients who are dying from asthma. Diane Diaz has a story.
Marcella Spence has asthma. Today, the illness landed her in the emergency room.
This past week, I can't get the breath. I can't get the air down to my lungs.
She says a bad chest cold brought on the attack. That's common for asthma patients. But now, for the first time, research shows that even people who don't have asthma may get the disease after suffering from a severe respiratory illness, like bronchitis. The study may provide a partial explanation for a worldwide increase in asthma cases and related deaths.
This new information indicates that there are bacteria or infectious organisms that are like bacteria that can cause enough inflammation in the lung that asthma can actually can come on with no previous history.
The findings are published in today's Journal of the American Medical Association. The study says a microorganism called Chlamydia pneumonia may be responsible for bringing on asthmatic conditions. And doctors estimate that about half of the world population has been exposed to that organism.
And that seems to be the explanation of the generally accepted fact that asthma is increasing in incidence. That means there's more numbers of people that are getting asthma, and the types of asthma that we're seeing is also more severe.
Marcella Spence knows her asthma runs in the family. That's the way most people end up with the disease. But the research indicates that a far greater percentage of the population is at risk, though some cases may be prevented with antibiotics. The findings still need to be confirmed. Diane Diaz, Channel 4 News, Glendale.
Some not surprising but interesting news about type A personalities. Researchers say that they are a greater risk for high blood pressure. Of course, they also tend to have hostile attitudes, talk fast, and interrupt others. The new study done in Canada was the first to link the hard-driving types to hypertension. Previous studies have shown a link between type A personalities and heart attacks.
Oh, yeah? Who says? Researchers say low doses of aspirin seem to cut a woman's risk of developing high blood pressure during pregnancy. Interesting news, but physicians caution mothers to be against overreacting to that interesting news. Dr. Barry Kaufman tells about that.
Yes, because of the little aspirin, it seems to have keeping my blood pressure down. I'm at 27 weeks now, and I'm fine.
29-year-old Catherine Eppen and her husband are happy she decided to use low-dose aspirin during her third pregnancy. Her first child had been stillborn, and her second died 9 days after physicians were forced to make a premature delivery. Catherine had suffered from a type of pregnancy-induced high blood pressure called preeclampsia.
They tell you it's preeclampsia, that the only cure for it is delivery, so they had to take the baby, or evidently I wouldn't have made it.
This pregnancy, Catherine is taking one baby aspirin a day. A number of small studies over the years with high-risk pregnant women have shown such doses might prevent pregnancy-induced hypertension. And in this week's Journal of the American Medical Association, a major analysis of 6 of those studies indicates that aspirin can reduce the risk of high blood pressure without harm to mother or child. There also were fewer cesarean operations needed, and fewer low birth weight babies were born. Still, study authors from the Metro Health Center in Cleveland, Ohio, say low-dose aspirin should not be taken by all pregnant women.
We do not want women who read the study to believe that aspirin is without potential for harmful effects, and especially do not want women to start taking aspirin thinking that it may improve the outcome of their pregnancy.
But research obstetrician Dr. Marshall Lindmeyer warns that the results may be flawed because the analysis did not include other, more negative studies, and because the studies it did include were too small to be very accurate.
It is better to properly design a large multi-center study rather than come up with hopeful results that some years later people disprove.
Such large-scale studies are being done now, with 6,000 patients in England and more than 1,000 in the U.S. Results, however, won't be known for 1 or 2 more years. Dr. Barry Kaufman, Channel 4 News.
All right, Paul Johnson, again, out there. Keep an eye on the freeways. Paul.
Yeah. Well, we have a new SIG alert that we just had about 15 minutes ago that has just been canceled. Now, that is out of the San Diego Freeway northbound in the vicinity of Manchester. Had an accident there, left lane closed both directions with an overturned car. That has now been cleared. However, the southbound side slows back to La Cienega. Northbound side got you jammed pretty solid back to Imperial Highway. Problem continues. SIG alert on the 605 northbound on the transition to the westbound 91. That is still closed. That's the accident with the overturned vehicle. That eastbound 91, awfully heavy now back beyond the Long Beach Freeway. Santa Ana Freeway northbound at Lincoln, non-injury collision being cleared to the right shoulder. Ventura Freeway eastbound past San Rafael, 2-vehicle non-injury collision there is clearing. Now, we don't have a map for this, but the Hollywood Freeway southbound at Normandy, 2 right lanes are blocked by a multi-vehicle collision there. That is now a SIG alert until they get that cleared, so please drive carefully. Paul Johnson, Metro Traffic. Keith, Linda.
All right, Paul, thank you. See you later. We have some honors for a school that works. The story is coming up in the next half hour of this program.
Now, you wouldn't want to take a lost credit card for granted, would you? David Horowitz says you definitely shouldn't do the same with checks.
And it's been many years since there's been anything like it, and it'll be a long time coming again. That, of course, is Eclipse Mania. We'll be back.
You guys gonna get married, really, you think?
Yeah.
Oh, here's the perfect starter gift, the Pacific Bell Smart Yellow Pages. What's the first thing you're gonna have them look for there?
We're already looking for it.
What is it?
A ring.
Oh, rings are easy, right under jewelry.
Jewelry's not in here.
Jewelry? No, wait a minute.
Wish.
Oh, come on, Byron.
Lots of jewelry stores.
Anything that really attracts your attention there?
They all attract my attention.
Yeah?
The pawn shop.
Oh, no, pawn shop, you romantic devil. Oh, look, Byron, you can run, but you can't hide. You know what we say. It's not in here. Maybe it doesn't exist.
Solutions you've been looking for, all in one magazine. It's First for Women.
Keep cool and pretty in sheer light summer fashions. They're inside first.
Do your own beauty makeover at home. First tells you how.
And summer's the perfect time to decorate your yard, begin jarring tasty fruits and vegetables, and for enjoying great barbecues.
And with this barbecue guide, you'll get the best ever barbecue tips and sauces. And do some creative meal planning with these durable recipe cards, both free from First.
First for Women, the only solution. Pick yours up
today.
Sometimes I feel like I'm being pulled in a dozen directions at once. Stress, poor diet, irregularity. Then I read about fiber therapy with new Metamucil wafers. They taste like cookies, so while the kids have their milk and cookies, I have my fiber.
New Metamucil fiber wafers. Just 2 little wafers have as much soluble fiber as this bowl full of apples. Extra fiber you may need to stay regular.
I still can't slow down, but at least now I can keep up.
New Metamucil fiber wafers. Fiber therapy for busy people.
American Hawaii 7-day cruise. With free hotel accommodations and discounts. Book now. It's the picture-perfect way to see the most of Hawaii.
Governor Wilson mixed politics and education today. On a visit to a local school, the governor called for more early education programs. But as Carla Aragon reports, the governor is still facing an unbalanced state budget and didn't say how new programs would be paid for.
Distance from one edge to the other.
Norwood Elementary School near downtown LA is an example of a school that works. Students wear uniforms to cut down on gang crime. Parents volunteer in the classroom. And the University of Southern California, as well as Exxon, is involved in this business school partnership. But Norwood Elementary is an exception rather than the rule.
This is a neighborhood-based school. It is a school that has succeeded in involving parents. It has succeeded in teaching children at a very early age that they are citizens with obligations.
Governor Pete Wilson paid a visit to Norwood School and a USC International Conference of Superintendents to promote his preventative education programs. The governor blames many of the state's school problems on societal woes, such as dysfunctional families. He says the schools inherit the problems and are expected to fix them. He proposes to start early in changing attitudes. For if you fail the students now, you pick up the pieces later.
We must alter the basic condition of children's lives if we expect teachers in the next decade to have less of their time and energy diverted from teaching. They should not have to be babysitters. They should be teachers.
I think one of the key things is the idea is that not so much remedial, but it's really to get into the real problem, the dropout, the parents, the home environment, the schools. I think those are the key things that he's delivering.
Although the legislature is struggling to balance a budget, Governor Wilson is proposing to expand funding for preschool and Healthy Start programs. School districts that have had to lay off school nurses and music teachers are bewildered, but they'll accept the money if it doesn't come from existing programs. Governor Wilson will continue to push his preventative education programs through as he continues to juggle resources to try to close the budget gap. Carla Aragon, Channel 4 News, Exposition Park.
Well, Charles Keating's lawyer was talking to the press today and said that Mr. Keating will refuse to testify this week at a hearing into whether he and 6 others looted $130.5 million from Lincoln Savings and Loan. Under an agreement reached with thrift regulators, Keating will exercise his right against self-incrimination in writing, avoiding having to take the Fifth Amendment repeatedly on the witness stand. The LA Attorney General filed murder charges today against two alleged street gang members for Sunday's drive-by shooting that killed a 14-month-old baby. 18-year-old Darrell Whitson and 22-year-old Shun Yokley just made a brief court appearance in Compton this afternoon, but their arraignment has been held over until later this month. They were arrested yesterday for the Sunday night drive-by shooting in the Athens Park area. As the Jones family got out of their car, a hail of bullets hit them in front of their home, and baby Michelle did not survive. Her mother and two uncles were hospitalized. Oh, boy.
A luggage theft ring has been broken. It targeted travelers at Los Angeles and Orange County airports. 3 suspects arrested. 2 of the suspects were arrested at the Burbank airport last night as they were removing luggage from a carousel. Police searched the suspects' apartments where they found 100 suitcases and briefcases. A 3rd suspect was arrested at the apartment. The 3 allegedly stole the suitcases and briefcases from luggage carousels at a number of local airports. Keith.
One of nature's more spectacular light shows happens tomorrow. That, of course, is the total eclipse of the sun, and astronomers and fans from around the world are getting a little worked up about it. Tomorrow's total eclipse of the sun will be a remarkably cooperative celestial event. For one thing, its path over the big island of Hawaii will pass right over some of the world's best observatories. Scientists are naturally quite excited in a collected, scientific sort of way.
It's one of nature's gifts, if you will.
But the real coincidence is that the best place for sightings just happened to be vacation resorts in Hawaii and Mexico, which means
they're approaching an aircraft coming in or out every minute and a half.
I don't want to be out in the wilderness of South America, but this was acceptable.
Acceptable? In Hawaii, people have gone kind of promotion crazy. Tens of thousands of people have shown up to buy Eclipse T-shirts, Eclipse silks, Eclipse cookies, Eclipse scrambled eggs, an Eclipse haircut.
I said, someone needs to wear that. Might as well be me. You look good in it.
Probably not. It's beginning to make people nervous.
We're used to slow pace and taking it easy around here, but now it's going to be a faster pace, but at a slower motion.
Pardon?
A faster pace, but at a slower motion.
Even the scientists are getting silly. This one invented eclipse glasses. This one wrote an eclipse opera. Well, he is a scientist. In Mexico's Baja resorts, the hotels are full and people are camping out in tents, jamming Mexico-bound airlines. People, expensive equipment.
Mom, your $100 bag.
Okay.
For what?
Something, either the sun or the moon is blacked out by something.
I think it's going to be dark.
And so it will be for about 7 minutes after an ocean of hype, a short party in the dark. Channel 4's live coverage of the short party in the dark will begin tomorrow morning at 10:15. We'll have live pictures of the full eclipse from Hawaii and, of course, pictures of the partial solar eclipse, the 68.8%, which will occur right here in Southern California.
Couldn't get you to put one of those, get one of those eclipse haircuts, huh? No?
David has one, though. He's coming up a little later.
Oh, well, we'll check on him. Okay, we're going to go up to the newsroom right now and find out what they're working on for the news at 5.
Linda and Keith coming up at 5. We'll have later developments in that report of the Christopher Commission. Racist and sexist messages between LAPD officers typed into their computers continue to shock. We'll have details. Workers in one building in Orange County are concerned over the high rate of cancer among them. Warnings now that heavy brush, dryness produced by the drought, and now cuts in firefighting units and personnel add up to a summer crisis for California. And the latest word on tomorrow's eclipse, some do's and some don'ts at 5.
Okay, thank you for that, Jess. You'd take a lost credit card seriously, of course, and people lose them all the time, but what about lost checks? David Horowitz says if it happens to you, you'd better act quickly. Next.
The question is not why is he controlling you, it's why are you so dependent on another person that you allow them to control you like this.
The best of David Viscott at Night, tonight at 2.
Call now and get a hot deal on a Domino's Pepperoni Pizza Feast, packed with pepperoni and loaded with cheese. Call Domino's now and get a medium pepperoni pizza feast for only $8.99 and get another one for only $4 more.
I came out from St. Louis and had found this great place in the Bay Area. It was 3 weeks before the furniture arrived, and the driver wouldn't accept my personal check. I called American Savings Bank, where I had just opened an account. Turned out they were closed. I'd even called the wrong branch. This wonderful woman answered the phone. She said she'd be happy to write out a bank check. She'd be happy to come and deliver the check to me. She made me feel like I was living in a small town again.
Buy direct, warehouse to you and save with Phil and Jim's Extras. Low price written guarantee, free delivery, installation, and much, much more. Like this GE large capacity washer featuring free wash rinse selections and regular time cycles at $299.86. Or this GE heavy duty electric dryer with time drying cycles up to 130 minutes at $249.86. And ask about free delivery, installation, and service. See the biggest laundry selection in town.
Time to rise and shine, fun seekers. Southwest Airlines Fun Fairs are back.
Well, you've waited so long for a fare to get so nice and low now. You really should fly.
Remember what fares were like before Southwest Airlines? Well, our new fun fares are so low now you can fly just for the fun of it.
Along with us, 'cause we got a lot of things to do now. You really should fly. And you'll have fun, 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 flying Southwest on a fun fair today. Fun, fun, flying on a fun fair.
You lose your checkbook, just how serious can it be? Oof. David Horowitz is here to tell us.
It can be real serious and something that a lot of people don't think about. I think by now most people know to report lost or stolen credit cards immediately, but they may not be as quick to report missing checks, and that's just what the crooks are counting on. Professional forgers know exactly how long it takes a check to clear and how much time they have to pass those checks before a flag is put on that account.
Some of them aren't noticed until they get a statement back. It could be a month later. Meanwhile, the crook has written a lot of paper and gone on his way. The trail gets pretty cold. Every day is another day of cold getting on that trail that I can try to follow.
This victim asked that her identity be concealed. Somebody snatched your purse.
Right.
In your purse you had checks, you had identification.
Mm-hmm.
You reported immediately to the police.
Called the police, called 911 immediately. Yeah, I went home after being robbed and called my bank, and I reported the check number stolen, and they said, fine, we'll put a warning on those checks. So I felt fairly secure with that.
Now, how did you find out that someone was using your checks?
Probably it took 3 days, and I was called on the telephone by a company that installed cellular phones. And they had told me that someone using my ID came in, wrote a check to put a cellular service into their car.
What else did they buy?
Clothes, they went to Stroud's, but I don't know, I guess in beddings. They went to different grocery stores, and I don't know if they got groceries or also cash. Someone was apprehended buying a car with my checkbook.
A car?
A car, an Acura car.
But though our victim had called her bank right away, she did not report it in person to her own branch. And that opened another window of opportunity for the crooks.
Somebody had called the bank, the robbers, and said, this is my social security number. I found my checkbook. Go ahead and release that. And the gal that had helped them was someone that was very green in the system because she just released the checks.
Our victim's bank covered the amount of the forged checks, and our victim did not lose any money. But it was still a frightening experience, first being robbed, then knowing that someone was out there cashing checks in her name with her identification. If your checks are lost or stolen, or the new checks you ordered don't arrive in the mail, report it immediately to the police, to your bank, and to your local supermarket.
I never thought of this, but grocery stores, if you have a grocery store check guarantee card, because they need no identification, you really need to contact the grocery store so those checks can't just be written for any amount.
And what our victim had also was a cash guarantee. In other words, if you don't have enough money in your bank account, then it would come out of your credit card account. So they spent to the tune of $7,500 before she found out about it.
Truly scary.
But they did catch the scam artist.
Thank you.
Good ending to that, all right.
Thank you, David. The names are different. There is Grizzly, Cyclone, and Scream Machine, but the thrills are hard to beat or understand sometimes when we come back.
Also, Mike Tyson will fight Evander Holyfield for the heavyweight championship, and the All-Star game ends up the same.
And it's bowling for dollars for the NCAA football teams coming back.
Why would a superstar risk his life to perform his own death-defying stunts? On the next Entertainment Tonight, Patrick Swayze tells why in his new movie he tried surfing and even did all his own spectacular skydiving stunts.
You could do anything you want. You could truly fly.
Plus, you may think today's Hollywood pinup girls are shocking, but 50 years ago, starlets were doing the same thing.
The newer mentality sort of lets it all out in front.
The inside stories on Entertainment Tonight. The hottest from Hollywood. Entertainment Tonight at 7.
If you want really great steak, you can go to a really great steakhouse, or you can come to Coco's. Both serve USDA choice corn-fed beef, like this juicy top sirloin. Both slow roast tender prime rib to bring out all the flavor, and both have unique specialty dishes like Coco's new pepper steak. So, why choose Coco's for a great beef dinner? Our prices are a lot easier to swallow. Coco's, steakhouse quality beef, family restaurant prices.
Let's go!
Everyone agrees. The E.T. ride is out of this world.
I got on a bike and I rode with E.T.
Those special effects are great.
It's spectacular.
It's for everyone. It's great.
I've never flown like this before.
E.T. said my name.
Oh.
Ride the movies at Universal Studios Hollywood.
I love E.T.
Good game, good friends. And now that I use Fix-It-In, I can tell the ref what I really think.
Fix-It-In and forget it.
Are you nuts?
Before I switched to Fix-It-In, Jones Peanut Crunchies only looked delicious.
Fix-It-In and forget it. Fix-It-In is the strongest holding denture adhesive you can get. It even stands up to the hottest liquids.
With my old adhesive, I'd never make a presentation and drink hot coffee at the same time.
For the strongest hold you can get. Fix-It-In and forget it.
Well, Freddie's here with his sports report. I guess the news, big news, is about college football. Freddie.
Now try to figure this out. Okay, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the Cotton Bowl have joined together with the ACC, the Big East, and Notre Dame to create a national title game, at least make it more feasible. Now, it's a complicated formula. So complicated, it's beyond all of us. But one thing we do know, beginning in '92, it will be in place. The last piece of the puzzle announced today when the Alliance named the fourth bowl that would be involved.
With a mutual agreement of all the parties involved, we have picked, as you can see here, the Fiesta Bowl out in Arizona to be the fourth bowl. From this point on, we will continue to meet and hopefully bring this to a conclusion, a final resolve, now bringing into the mix the Fiesta Bowl.
Okay, now, the Pac-10, the Big Ten, and the Rose Bowl are not involved in this arrangement, but it doesn't mean a school from one of those conferences cannot be number one. It can be if it's number one going into the Rose Bowl and wins, or it's number two going into the Rose Bowl and the top-ranked team loses in one of the Alliance Bowls, unless, of course, the team going into the Rose Bowl is ranked number 3 and the top 2 teams in the Alliance Bowls lose. Now, I hope that clears it all up for you. On November 8th in Las Vegas, let's get ready to rumble.
That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard.
Who knows? Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson will fight for the heavyweight title. Holyfield guaranteed $30 million, Tyson $15 million. Of course, in both cases, that's hardly enough to make the mortgage payment. So Holyfield is also guaranteed 60% of revenues over $48 million. Tyson will get 40% of revenues over $48 million. Who do I like in this one? The IRS. Now, let the hype begin.
We will see what will happen in the center of the ring. I'll be happy there. I'm very delighted for Dan Duva, who will be the promoter, and for his fighter, who is now the current champion. It's only a temporary, fleeting moment. And so, therefore, I can afford to be magnanimous. And it's just a thrill for me to be on the sideline looking in, because the show is with me no matter where you go and how you do it. The show is here, baby.
Thank you, baby. Last night, the American League made its 4 straight over the Nationals in the All-Star game. Final score 4-2, and there were some outstanding performances and record-breaking performances. The MVP, Baltimore shortstop Cal Ripken. He had 2 hits. The big one came in the bottom of the 3rd off Montreal's Dennis Martinez, a 3-run homer to put the American League ahead to stay. Cal is going so well this season, he can't even explain what's happening.
As a kid, you always grow up, and the All-Star game is a focus of the whole summertime. In your wildest dreams, you don't really think that you're going to be in the All-Star game. I've kind of got over the hump there that I'm in the All-Star game, but to actually do well and be the MVP, that's another story. I don't know how to explain that one.
Carlton Fisk of the White Sox became the oldest player to play and get a hit in an All-Star game at the tender age of 43 years and 8 months. He singled off Pete Harnisch in the 6th to accomplish the feat, and Carlton is just happy he still gets to put on a Major League Baseball uniform.
Somebody told me after the game I was the oldest guy ever get a hit in an All-Star. Well, in order to do that, you have to be an old guy, you know? You have to be an old guy, but the nice part about it is you have to be an all-star old guy. That's nice to know.
Sure is. Basketball, Lakers signed assistant coach Randy Funn to a multi-year deal, and the Milwaukee Bucks signed veteran free agent center Moses Malone. Frontrunner Rolf Sorensen took a bone-breaking fall during the 5th stage of the Tour de France today. He fell and broke his collarbone. American Greg LeMond is now the leader. He has a 1-second lead over Ireland's Sean Kelly. And that's it.
That was a far more complicated deal than usual, Freddie.
Usually for me, I can't get into anything that difficult.
Okay.
Explain it all again in 5.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Fred. All right, nowadays, most amusement park thrill rides are high-tech, sophisticated machines, but there's a new trend developing. Old-fashioned roller coasters, you know, the kind that go clickety-clack. They're making a big comeback. Here's travel reporter Paul Ryan.
I lost my stomach. Back there somewhere, it's up there still.
Hang on!
Oh, you're never too old for this. One of summer's biggest activities, riding those steel and wood monsters with names like Grizzly, Cyclone, Scream Machine. The roller coaster had its golden age in the 1930s, with some 2,000 coasters dipping and twisting across the American landscape. But the next 30 years nearly saw its demise, saved only by the new high-tech designs of the 70s.
I've been on 130 roller coasters all over the U.S. and Canada.
David Escalante belongs to American Coaster Enthusiasts, a 4,000-member organization whose goal is
to find the ultimate roller coaster, I suppose.
David lives near the Great America theme park in Santa Clara, California, where we rode on the new stand-up ride, Vortex.
You're basically standing on the train, so your center of gravity is a lot higher, and it feels like you're flying. It's amazing.
A favorite of many is this one right here, the old-fashioned classic wooden roller coaster. It's a lot less intimidating than those wild high-tech designs, but no less exciting. The wooden coaster is making a comeback this summer at theme parks in California, Ohio, and Oklahoma. And David's favorite coaster?
Well, I like the Cyclone at Coney Island. 1927, and it's still my favorite.
To find out more about America's roller coasters, contact American Coaster Enthusiasts. They'll tell you which ones they like best. Paul Ryan, Channel 4 News.
Okay, that's the end of our program, which means that it's time for the 5 o'clock news.
Right.
And here's Colleen now.
Thanks, Keith and Lyndon. Good evening, everyone. More evidence of racism and bias in the LAPD. Controversial computer messages used as evidence by the Christopher Commission. Also, the man on the hot seat, Chief Gates. More calls that he step aside. More budget cuts in local fire budgets. Will they result in a fire tragedy this summer? You'll hear some of the predictions. Where can you see the eclipse without endangering your sight? We have a live Earthwatch report. And his new role, a change in direction for Harrison Ford. He talks about that with David Sheehan. Stay with us. All the news is up next.
There are bad ways to wake up in the morning, but there's one good way. Today in LA, weekdays at 6 and 6:30, only on Channel 4.
This could be Shakey's greatest deal ever. 9 pieces of our golden fried chicken and a pound of Mojo potatoes, only $3.99, with the purchase of any small, medium, or large Shakey's pizza. You got it right. With the purchase of any small, medium, or large Shakey's pizza, you can get 9 pieces of Shakey's golden fried chicken and a pound of Mojo potatoes for only $3.99. With prices like these, why cook at home?
It's GMC Truck Summer Show and Sell. We'll show you this summer's big selection of new GMC trucks, like this new SLT Jimmy with standard four-wheel anti-lock brakes and elegant leather trim interior, the sporty Sonoma, Safari with available full-time all-wheel drive, or Sierra with the highest resale value of any full-size pickup. Then we'll sell you with big summer values. GMC Truck Summer Show and Sell. Find out what's happening at your GMC truck dealer today.
Why are thousands flocking to the Franchise and Business Opportunities Expo?
I just got tired of working for other people. I wanted to get my own business.
I thought something possibly for myself might be a lot more lucrative and a lot more fun.
Wouldn't everyone like to be their own boss?
Tired of working for someone else? Go to the Franchise and Business Opportunities Expo. Franchises, dealerships, home businesses, investments. You'll find them all this weekend at the Anaheim Convention Center.
I never knew there was that many opportunities out there.
It's terrific.
With the Pacific Bell calling card, you can easily charge calls wherever you are, whether you're just down the street or somewhere up the coast. But unlike most calling cards, Pacific Bells is based on your own familiar phone number. And since it's welcome at most every phone, it's really the only calling card you need to hang on to. Pacific Bell. We're making things easier everywhere.
Jess Marlowe, Colleen Williams, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan, Sports, and David Sheehan, Entertainment. Channel 4 News, #1 in Southern California.